This is Chapter 3 of Beyond Oxalates, the complete guide to plant toxins. Chapter 3 is called Cooking, Soaking, and the Myth of Neutralization. Why traditional methods only scratch the surface of toxicity. For thousands of years, humans have performed elaborate rituals to make plants edible. Boiling, soaking, sprouting, fermenting, these were born of necessity, not preference. Our ancestors knew instinctively that most plants were toxic in their natural state, so they used fire and water as crude filters between survival and sickness. But these old methods, though ingenious for their time, were never true detoxification. They were damage control. They made plants less dangerous, not safe. Modern nutrition romanticizes these practices as evidence that grains, beans, and vegetables are healthy when properly prepared. The truth is, traditional processing was the best primitive humans could do to tame biological defense systems they were never designed to eat in the first place. The comforting lie of neutralization. Cooking, soaking, or fermenting may sound reassuring, but each is only a partial disarmament of plant defenses. Heat, acid, and time can deactivate some anti-nutrients, yet others resist destruction, or even become more potent. The neutralization myth persists because it gives plant-based eating an illusion of safety and sophistication, but beneath the surface, the molecular reality remains hostile. Cooking does reduce enzyme inhibitors and certain lectins. However, it can simultaneously increase oxidative compounds, such as acrylamides in starchy vegetables, or AGEs, advanced glycation end products, that form when carbohydrates react with proteins. You trade one irritant for another. Soaking grains or legumes overnight leaches out a fraction of phytic acid, the anti-nutrient that binds essential minerals like magnesium, zinc, and iron, but even a long soak rarely removes more than 30 to 40%. Worse, soaking activates plant enzymes that can release more oxalates or saponins. Fermentation creates beneficial bacteria but does not erase toxicity. It can generate histamines, amines, reactive aldehydes, especially when fermentation is incomplete or uncontrolled. Many of these compounds provoke inflammation, migraines, or autoimmune responses in sensitive individuals. These traditional fixes are like sanding the rust off a car without addressing the corrosion underneath. You might improve the surface, but the metal still weakens from within. Nature's chemistry set. Every plant is a fortress of self-protection. Evolution armed them with phytochemicals that repel insects, fungi, and mammals. To the plant, these compounds are survival tools. To us, they are biochemical irritants. Oxalates form sharp crystals that slice tissues and bind minerals. Lectins attach to cell membranes, disrupting intestinal and immune integrity. Phytates block absorption of zinc, magnesium, and calcium. Glucosinolates in cruciferous plants interfere with thyroid hormone synthesis. Saponins puncture cell membranes, causing gut permeability. Heating, soaking, or fermenting may dull the edges, but these molecules are extraordinarily resilient. Oxalate crystals survive boiling. Lectins reappear after brief heating. Phytates reform once the food cools. Plants have spent millions of years perfecting these chemical weapons, far longer than humans have spent trying to disarm them. Traditional wisdom, misinterpreted. Anthropologists often cite ancient agricultural societies as proof that humans thrived on grains and legumes once they learned to soak or ferment them. But this view ignores critical context. Number 1, survival, not abundance. Early agrarians turned to plants when animal food was scarce. These methods were emergency rations, not a culinary choice. Number 2, time and labor. Traditional processing required enormous effort, sometimes days of soaking, fermenting, pounding, and drying just to make a crop edible. That is not a mark of nutritional excellence. It's evidence of toxicity. Number 3, animal compensation. Nearly all such cultures balanced plant intake with animal fats, organs, and seafood, offsetting nutrient loss with bioavailable vitamins A, B12, D, and K2. And number 4, seasonality. Plants were eaten intermittently. Today, the same foods are consumed daily, often in concentrated or industrialized forms that magnify their anti-nutrient load. So when modern nutritionists romanticize ancestral grains or traditional diets, they're cherry-picking imagery while ignoring the historical struggle to make those foods barely tolerable. The mineral theft problem. No matter how long you soak or cook, anti-nutrients steal. Phytates and oxalates have an almost magnetic attraction to cations, minerals carrying a positive charge. They latch onto magnesium and calcium and zinc and iron, forming insoluble complexes that pass through the intestines unabsorbed. You can eat a spinach salad claiming 150 milligrams of magnesium, yet absorb barely 25 milligrams. Meanwhile, a modest serving of salmon or beef provides less total magnesium on paper, but yields more usable magnesium in the bloodstream because it isn't handcuffed by plant toxins. This is why populations relying heavily on grains or beans often show signs of latent mineral deficiency. Poor bone density, fatigue, muscle cramps, slow healing, even when calorie intake is high. Their food contains nutrients that their bodies can't touch. Heat, friend or foe? Fire revolutionized human evolution, but it was never a complete solution to plant toxicity. Boiling beans for hours may reduce lectins, yet it also obliterates heat-sensitive nutrients, vitamin C, folate, and many B vitamins. Roasting or frying can create acrylamides, heterocyclic amines, or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, compounds linked to DNA damage and inflammation. Even the celebrated healthy cooking methods, such as air frying or high heat roasting, do not spare plants from forming new toxins under thermal stress. Ironically, the most well-cooked plant foods are often the most nutrient depleted and oxidized. What survives the pot is mostly starch and fiber, fuel without vitality. Soaking and sprouting, a half measure. In wellness culture, sprouting grains and activated nuts have become status symbols of purity. Yet scientific analysis shows that soaking for 12 to 24 hours reduces phytic acid only modestly and does little to eliminate oxalates or lectins. Sprouting may convert some starches into sugars, making digestion easier, but it also awakens the plant's metabolic defenses. Many sprouts, especially from legumes and crucifers, contain higher levels of protease inhibitors and goitrogens than their mature counterparts. So while soaking might make bread rise higher or beans cook faster, it doesn't turn them into safe or super nutrition. It's like softening barbed wire. It bends more easily, but it still cuts. Fermentation, the half-truth of gut health. Fermentation earns praise for creating probiotics, but when applied to plants, it's a double-edged sword. Lactic acid bacteria can reduce some anti-nutrients, yet they often produce biogenic amines such as histamine, tyramine, and putrescine. For people with autoimmune or allergic conditions, these byproducts can trigger rashes, headaches, or anxiety. Fermented soy, touted as the secret of Asian longevity, still contains phytoestrogens that disrupt hormonal balance. Sauerkraut and kimchi remain high in oxalates, even after weeks of fermentation. The microbes change the flavor profile, not the fundamental plant chemistry. Your body may gain a few strains of bacteria, but inherit a chemical burden that continues long after the meal is over. Modern processing, supercharged toxicity. Today's plant foods are far more toxic than the ancient ones' traditional methods were meant to tame. Industrial agriculture breeds plants for pest resistance, often by increasing their natural defense chemicals. Add synthetic pesticides, glyphosate residue, and genetic modification, and the result is a chemical cocktail that no amount of soaking or boiling can neutralize. Meanwhile, these same plants are stripped, milled, and extruded into powders and oils that concentrate their worst elements: omega-6 seed oils, refined starches, and synthetic fortifiers designed to mask nutritional emptiness. Cooking can't fix what was broken in the field and factory. Biochemical reality: you can't overcook evolution. The human digestive tract is short, acidic, and protein adapted. It's designed to extract nutrients from animal tissue quickly and cleanly. Herbivores, by contrast, possess long fermentative colons, multi-chambered stomachs, and microbial systems capable of detoxifying plant chemicals. When we force plant compounds through a carnivore learning system, the cost is inflammation, oxidative stress, and nutrient loss. Cooking or soaking doesn't rewrite our biology, it only delays the symptoms of incompatibility. The carnivore advantage. Compare all this labor to the simplicity of animal foods. No soaking, no fermenting, no alchemy required. Meat, eggs, fish, and organs deliver fully bioavailable nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and fats in perfect balance. Magnesium from beef or fish enters the bloodstream efficiently. Iron from red meat is heme iron, absorbed 3 to 5 times better than non-heme plant iron. Zinc, calcium, and fat-soluble vitamins coexist naturally, supporting enzyme systems that plants inhibit. There are no anti-nutrients to steal or block. Your gut doesn't need to adapt, it simply receives. This is why people who shift to carnivore or animal-based diets often experience a surge in energy, calmer digestion, and mental clarity. Their bodies are no longer defending themselves. Why the myth persists. The plants are safe if prepared properly narrative persists for 3 reasons. Number 1, cultural romanticism. People love the story of ancestral wisdom, grandmothers fermenting cabbage, or tribes soaking maize. It feels humble and natural. Number 2, economic incentive. The global plant food industry depends on the illusion that processing improves health. The more steps involved, the higher the price tag. Number 3, nutritional gaslighting. Modern dietitians equate survival with thriving, using isolated populations that endured grain-based diets as proof that plants are benign. They ignore the accompanying rates of stunted growth, anemia, and bone disease. It's not ignorance, it's industry maintenance. If the public understood that plants remain chemically armed even after cooking, the foundation of the balanced diet would crumble overnight. Reclaiming biological sanity. When you stop trying to neutralize plant toxins and simply remove them, the body's repair systems awaken. The gut seals, inflammation recedes, and minerals are retained instead of stolen. The proof is in the results seen by thousands following animal-based protocols. Autoimmune symptoms vanish. Digestion normalizes, and mental fog clears without detox drinks or enzyme boosters. The secret isn't in mastering the ancient plant rituals, it's in ending them. The bottom line? Cooking and soaking were humanity's first chemistry experiments. Acts of desperation, not of optimization. They allowed us to survive famines, not flourish. Modern society has confused these survival hacks with health wisdom. You can't cook out oxalates. You can't soak away lectins. You can't ferment your way to safety. The only true neutralization of plant toxicity happens when you stop eating the source. Once you do, your body no longer fights the daily war of defense. It shifts fully into healing, regeneration, and strength. The path forward isn't rediscovering the old methods. It's remembering the oldest truth of all. Humans were built to eat animals, not to fix plants.